Hey, yo, hey everyone, Andrew here, bringing you another video, and today we're going to be doing another edition of What I Am Thinking. Now, technically, this is a part 2 to my previous What I Am Thinking, which is how I would change the DC relaunch. And in part 1, we talked about what titles I would cancel and what titles I would add on. In part 2, we're going to talk about what continuity events or things that I would change about the relaunch. Because, see, I actually really do love the DC relaunch. I think it was a great idea. It reinvigorated DC Comics. It allowed a lot of writers and creative teams to do things that they normally couldn't do and pull us some great stories, and allowed a lot of comic book characters and comic book titles opportunities to kind of flourish, to add diversity to the repertoire of comics that DC has to offer, and it kind of streamlined their categories. Traditional superhero stuff, on the edge, dark horror, magic stuff. Basically streamlining the DC universe. I love it. I think the relaunch was great. However, despite how much I love it, there are a lot of things that I would change about it. There are a lot of things that I do not like about it. Uh, so, as much as I am a big supporter of it, there are a lot of things that I would do differently. And I wrote down off the top of my head a few things that I would do differently. Things about the DC relaunch that I just don't care for. So, with that said, we're going to jump right into it. There's about 11 things that off the top of my head I came with. I'm sure there's a few more that I haven't thought of, but might as well just jump right into it. So, number one is I'm going to call Teen Titans before the Teen Titans. I think we all know where I'm going with this. In this new DC universe, there was no Teen Titans team before the current one. At least that's what they're hinting towards. Dick Grayson, Roy Harper, Starfire, they may have all teamed up at one point, but it really wasn't called the Teen Titans. The first Teen Titans team is the current incarnation. And while I'm okay with there being no Jeff Johns Teen Titans team, with Superboy, Robin, Wonder Girl, Kid Flash, and all of them, I am upset that there was no George Perez Marv Wolfman team. I also don't care if the original team ever existed, but I think the George Perez Marv Wolfman team should have existed. Wonder Girl, Donna Troy, Wally West, Kid Flash, Robin, slash Nightwing, Dick Grayson, Cyborg, Beast Boy, slash Changeling, Starfire, Raven should be part of the team. Now, there's a few things that you would have to handle, mostly how Cyborg fits in this because he's part of the JLA, and that's his origin story. But one could say that he teamed up with Dick Grayson and he decided to make a team on his own next to the JLA to guide the younger generation, blah, blah, blah. And that's how the team was made. But I really do wish the original Teen Titans, new Teen Titans stuff was still in continuity. You never know because right now they're kind of undecided. They're leaning more towards no, it isn't. But I believe it was Kyle Higgins that said anything's possible. They haven't made a finalized decision, and they can always retcon it. But still, I think there should be at least one Teen Titans team before the current one that had Dick, that had Donna, that had Wally, that had Raven, that had Starfire, so on and so forth. So that's the first change I would make. Second change is Red Robin's costume. I do not like Red Robin's costume. It's too all over the place. It's too much to look at. It's very messy. While I am happy that they brought back the domino mask, I am disappointed that the costume just doesn't look that great. I don't really care for the wings or anything. I kind of wish that they did one of two things. They did the virtual reality costume that he wore in one of the later issues of Red Robin, or they take his original Red Robin costume and all they really did is just remove the hood and made a domino mask. I don't care for Red Robin's costume. Plain, flat, and simple. There's nothing else I can really say about it other than that. Okay, next is JLI with the Martian Manhunter. Well, I do think it was a actually really good idea that Cyborg was put on the Justice League team rather than Martian Manhunter. I still love Martian Manhunter to death, and I think he would have been better suited on the JLI than he would have been on Stormwatch. Why? Because, well, he was on the JLI for a long time. He led the Justice League International. And I think he would have fit the role that Batman's doing right now better than Batman's doing. You know, being the emotional support to the leader and believing in the team and watching over them, but not actually being in charge of the team. I think Martian Manhunter would work well in that, and to make him a founding member of the JLI would still be able to have your cake and eat it too. Fans of Cyborg being on the Justice League team would still have Cyborg on the Justice League team in Martian Manhunter's place, but fans of the Martian Manhunter would have him as a founding member of the JLI. I think it's just one move that you could have taken that made the comic better. Because, to be honest, while I love Martian Manhunter and Stonewatch, he's not really the star of it. It's more of a Midnighter and Apollo comic, which is all perfectly fine. But you don't really need Martian Manhunter on Stonewatch. He's better suited for the JLI, and I hope in the future that they do incorporate him there. So, with that, let's move on to the next change. A lot of things that Grant Morrison has done to Superman. Mainly, some of his origins of his villains. There's a lot of things that I don't like about Action Comics. There's a lot of things I do like too. I think a lot of things that I don't like could be fixed simply just by the structure of the story or the dialogue of the story. But one of the biggest problems that I have is how some of his villains are treated. For example, Brainiac being a centipede is not cool at all. Not one bit. My favorite interpretation of Brainiac is this right here, the interpretation that we get from Jeff Johns in the Brainiac story. I thought this was the best Brainiac, and it really worked well for what Brainiac is. I do not like or I do not care for Centipede Brainiac. I think it's stupid and he looks like a moron. The John Corbin story with Metallo is not bad, but I don't like how he's tied into Brainiac. It just doesn't work for me. And they kind of make him kind of a hero in a way, more than a villain. And Lex Luthor is just I think Grant Morrison is trying to go with Lex Luthor being super smart and unable to communicate with people that aren't as smart as him, but he's just coming off as kind of a bumbling idiot. So, Superman's rogue galleries in Action Comics, I would have handled differently. So, moving on, Catwoman and Batman knowing each other's identities. The one biggest problem with the Batman family that I can think of that has been changed in the DC relaunch is Catwoman not knowing who Batman is. Now, the reason why this hurts the Batman family is because it heavily impacts some of my favorite Batman stories, such as Batman Hush, Heart of Hush, House of Hush, actually the whole entire Hush saga. I think one of my all-time favorite Batman stories was Heart of Hush, where Batman pours his heart out to Catwoman and reveals his feelings to her. And now that comic's probably not in continuity anymore because Catwoman doesn't know Batman's identity, so it just wouldn't work. It just wouldn't match up. I think this was a bad idea. It really doesn't do anything for the comic. Or I know they're probably going for that. Well, they don't have the hats. They need to keep the mask on while they do things. It makes things more interesting. But I really think Selina should know who Bruce is. It works out better that way. It works out better for the continuity, and on a whole, I just think it works better for the couple. Now, you could say that the current Catwoman stuff is taking place earlier in the DCU before Hush, but at the same time, they haven't indicated anything of the such. So, but that's definitely something that I would like to change. Moving on, next is where is Wally and where is Donna? I kind of touched a little bit about this in the Teen Titans before the Teen Titans stuff, but two characters that I really like, one more than the other. But where's Donna and Wally? Donna is one of my favorite comic book characters, Donna Troy, and I really do enjoy Wally West. And while I do agree that it's good that Barry Allen's the Flash right now, I think it works out very nicely. Where is Wally West? Where is Wally West? Where is Donna Troy? I know they want to keep them separate so we can focus on the other ones, but Donna Troy not being there doesn't affect Wonder Woman. I can understand Wally not being there a little bit, but I think these are two important fan favorite characters, and you need to address them soon. I don't know how they're going to go about it, especially with how continuity works. How are you going to have a Kid Flash within the 5 years of Flash being around? while condensing the timeline may work with some characters like Superman or maybe Green Lantern or Aquaman and such, with characters like Flash, it's like, Barry becomes Flash. Um, Wally West becomes Kid Flash. Barry dies. Wally becomes Flash. Barry comes back. It just doesn't work. I think what they're going with the continuity now is Barry never died and Wally never became Flash, which is interesting. But whatever. You know what? If the story works, it works. But I still want to see Wally and Donna back in some fashion. So those two, where the hell are they? Next is Superman and Batman's first meeting. I really liked the first story arc of Justice League. It was exactly what it was supposed to be. A over-the-top movie-like action comic with fun characters interacting with each other. But the one thing I disliked about it is that it was the first meeting of Batman and Superman. In my hardest of hearts, Batman and Superman always should have met before the Justice League was assembled. That they knew each other beforehand. That they did a case or two together. That's how it was done in the previous universes in almost every other universe. Even if you look at, like, I don't know, the DC animated universe. Batman and Superman met up before Justice League and Justice League Unlimited. In the original universe, they were busy meeting up with each other before the Justice League was formed. They actually worked the case together. The first Justice League case, they worked solo together, while the rest of the Justice League did their own thing. I think Batman and Superman's first meeting should be something separate and it should be something special. It shouldn't be like, "Hi, I'm Superman. You have nothing in your belt. I'm going to beat you up." Why can't it be like, "Superman, what's wrong with you? We met up beforehand." I mean, they did the Flash and Green Lantern meeting up beforehand. Why not Superman and Batman? So that's definitely something I would change. Mr. Terrific not being so terrific. That's probably a bad way of describing it. One thing I definitely would change, and especially with Earth 2 coming out, is I think Mr. Terrific would have been better suited on Earth 2. There's two characters that I think are better suited on Earth 2. The Shade and Mr. Terrific. Now, James Robinson in various podcasts admitted that in hindsight, retrospect, he would have pushed Shade on Earth 2, but that didn't happen. Now he's on the current DCU. But I think Mr. Terrific as a character would work best on the Justice League or the Justice Society of America. I think he would work best in the Earth 2 continuity. But hey, that's just me. I like Mr. Terrific, and I like him being there. He just feels like a Justice Society member. That would put him on the Justice League International. Uh, Next is Hawk Girl. Where is Hawk Girl? One of the things that bothered me is how Hawk Girl was brought back to life in Blackest Night, and then was extinguished in Brightest Day. I want my Hawk Girl. I want her to be there. I want her. I don't care if she comes back from the dead or if she was never Hawk Girl beforehand and she becomes Hawk Girl. But I think Hawk Girl needs to make an appearance. Where is she? I'm bad. Bring me my Hawk Girl. Um, and I think it would definitely help out the Hawkman comic. Hawkman, people like to debate marriages and relationships in comic books. Some people like to debate, well, Superman and Spider-Man are better in the love triangle, and Batman can't be with anyone because he has, his problems, trust issues, and all that. Um, I think I disagree with that, but let's just play devil's advocate for a bit. Let's just say that is the case. Uh, there are a few comic book characters that work so well with their significant others. Aquaman and Mirror are one of them, and Hawkgirl and Hawkman is another one. I think those two work so well together, and the comic flourishes when they're together. So I really think Hawkgirl should come back. And sorry, my phone went off, so I had to kind of take a pause. Last few things, or last thing, but it kind of turned into two things. One is the Six. I almost said secret shit. That would be funny. The Secret Six should have existed before Suicide Squad, and have them connect somehow. Why? Why not? I didn't get to read the original Secret Six run. I wish I could, but time and money has kept me away from it. Eventually, someday, I will pick it up. I heard people say it's fantastic. But I don't see why they don't keep that in continuity. If it's such a good comic and people love it so much, why not continue it and just tie the Suicide Squad into it? Mm, Just saying. I don't see why it wouldn't have worked. And then, in addition to that, I think the Suicide Squad's rosters should be a little bit different. I think you should keep King Shark and Deadshot and Harley Quinn. That's fine, but you should throw Catman on there, Captain Boomerang, Bane. Some of the original Secret Six members, and put them on the Suicide Squad. That's just me. But I don't see why the Suicide Squad do not exist before, or I don't see why the Secret Six do not exist before the Suicide Squad. Another thing is Amanda Waller being thinner and younger. Um, I think one of the most interesting and endearing traits about Amanda Waller is she was a plus size individual, and she was a strong female character who was also plus size, and I like that about her. I thought it was a niche. Now she looks like every single comic book character with a waist this big and with her ass sticking out like this and her boobs sticking out. She looks generic and thin and just regular. She doesn't stand out. I think her being a plus size was I don't know. I think it was a good character trait and it was a hook. It's something people looked onto. They're like, "There's Amanda Waller." So I think Amanda Waller should have stayed plus size. I don't know why they made her thin again. There was no reason to, at all, not one bit. So that's definitely something that I would have changed. Also, I think Cassandra Cain. I'm just adding a few things on here while I'm thinking. I think Cassandra Cain should be somewhere. I know you're trying to keep it to one Batgirl member and all that stuff, but I don't see why she couldn't be on the Birds of Prey or why she couldn't be on the Suicide Squad or something. Why you couldn't just stick her somewhere. It would have satisfied Cassandra Cain fans, and I think it would have only added to comics. Why do we have Poison Ivy on the Birds of Prey when we could have Cassandra Cain as Black Bat or whatever you want to call her? You can call her Terminator. You can call her, I don't know, the next big thing, Brock Lesnar, Cassandra Cain. It doesn't matter. But I think she would have actually been really good on the Birds of Prey. Yeah, maybe that's just me. But those are just some things that I would have changed about the relaunch. Um, those are my opinions. What's yours? What would you have changed about the DC relaunch? What continuity fixes would you have done? I'm eager to hear what you guys have to think, so you can either comment or video respond. It's up to you. But yes, that is part two to how I would change the DC relaunch. So I'm going to end this video here. This is Andrew saying peace out for now.